Hey
Hello,
Jen, how are you?
how are you?
Things are pretty good.
Good, good. Where are you located?
I'm in North Carolina.
Okay, I'm in New
hmm
York.
Oh, super cool. Nice. Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah. So are you like in Manhattan or just like you're probably like a little bit out?
I'm near Buffalo.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, yeah. So about 5 hours from the city.
Got it. Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've
yeah,
been to some parts of New York, but
yeah,
not like over there too much.
yeah. Not people don't usually come here unless they have a reason.
That's cool.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm pretty mind blown with what you do and just that you've been able to take your therapy stuff and all the mental health counseling stuff and then turned it into this kindfulness thing. And it seems like people can really grab onto that, with a little more security and everything. So it'll be good.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Definitely. Yeah. So we're running on the Zoom meeting 40-minute thing. So
Okay.
I have I have used another one in the past and it just started not working for me really.
Yeah,
And so I'm trying to just make good use of it. But I love what you do of like talking to, you know, the whole mental health crises and all that different stuff and even, like suicide and that kind of thing. And yeah, it's those are conversations we definitely need to have like
yeah.
very
It's very important. Yeah.
yeah, that's cool. Well, yeah, right now I'm just chilling here, trying to figure out how to never have to move back in with my parents again. Because for now I'm here, and I'm trying to figure out how to keep that going. Keep
Yeah.
ascending more or less. Yeah,
Yep. Yep. It's a constant struggle.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we'll just jump into it then. Unless you had any other questions.
No, I'm ready.
Cool. Welcome back to Yield Today with Dallin Candland. I'm here with Jennifer Schyzer. She is a kindfulness coach. That's something she came up with. And she also has been doing social work and tons of other things to help out and lifting the mental health of people all over the world. And excited to have her on. Thanks for coming.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because we grow up and we learn about belongings. We learn about, hey, put your toys away, put this away. But I've never, growing up, I don't think I ever had somebody be like, hey, you need to put that thought away. That you don't need to have that around
Yeah.
because that may not be useful for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. I think that it's just like a taboo subject. It has been for many years, and it's kind of an off limits territory that people are afraid to go to sometimes.
It's interesting because I was thinking about this and I was like, wait a second. So if I'm playing like a card game, my brain will literally memorize the cards I have in that moment. My short-term memory will hold those cards to help me win the game. And then after I probably don't win the game, but after the game finishes, my brain will forget those things and I can move back onto life. That's crazy. And
Yeah.
so it's like there's so much power in harnessing that, but there just is so little training and so little focus on it. We just sweep it under the rug all the time, focus on all these other things, the things that are so in your face, whereas sometimes the most important thing is not in your face.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's crazy to think, like you said, we can hold on to some of these things for just a short amount of time, but when it's something big and something that impacts you a lot, you're holding on to it for a really long time, and those feelings can really affect, your mood and how you put yourself out to the world. So it has a significant impact on, who you are.
Yeah, I think so much of life is the story you're telling yourself about
Mm.
yourself right now. And I've gone through a period of denial where I was just kind of denying all these different blessings that were coming to me and stuff. And that's not a good, you look at any character that has a lot of blessings and then they push them all away and they hide themselves away, whether it's physically or metaphorically, it doesn't end well for them. There has to
Yeah.
be a time where you kind of accept, you break free, you let go, you jump off the waterfall or whatever, that's where you're going to find your peace.
Yeah, no, I love that about, you write these stories for yourselves. And the amazing piece is we get to rewrite our stories whenever we decide. And so we control the narrative. And once you make a decision, like I want to rewrite how this is going, you do it and you can. And if you don't know how to do it, you ask somebody to help you and support you to do that. But that's the amazing thing is we get to rewrite that narrative anytime we want.
That's cool. So tell me about the time when you had your kind of burnout slash 2020 slash all these other things kind of happening in your life. How did that affect you and shock you? And how did
Yeah.
you rewrite your story from there?
Yeah, that's a great question because I think that really is where kindfulness coaching came from. And, during 2020, we all had these crazy revelations because it's the pandemic and nobody else has anything to do. And, some of us aren't working. And, I was working in a hospital system. So I was working and I was, showing up every day. We were putting our lives at risk every day. And we didn't know a whole lot about what was going on in the early time of COVID. And during that time, my husband also he went into the hospital, and it made me just it was almost like this wake up call. Like, when they say like things happen for a reason, like this happened because my husband and I were just kind of going through the motions of life, and we were going to work every day, we were showing up, there was just something missing. And I think that this experience helped us to figure out like there's more to what we're supposed to be doing, and there's more to our lives that we're not giving. And for me, that was a rewriting of my story. I started diving into my own personal development and really kind of considering what it is I want to do. I don't just want to show up for a job every day. I want to just make a difference. And how can I do that? And that's kind of where kindfulness coaching came from.
Yeah, and you made an Instagram post recently about how so much about leveling up in life is about putting yourself around people that are helping you level up. So how is that part of the kindfulness coaching launch?
Yeah, it's funny you asked that because I just got off a coaching call with a woman who is working on setting some healthy boundaries around her time and her energy. And part of that is cutting off the negativity around you. You want to surround yourself with people who are motivated and have what you want and can help you to get there. And I think that I just listened to a podcast recently about the 5 people that you have in your life that you bring around, and you have your cheerleader and your mentor. And I think that that's so important, just to surround yourself with those people that are going to help you to up level.
Yeah, you might have to send me a link to that podcast episode because I played a lot of RPG games growing up, and you always have
Yeah.
like a healer, you have a warrior, you have all these
Yep.
different things in your party.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'll get to the boss who has the perfect thing to take out the healer, and now it's like we gotta have somebody else because that's
Right.
how it goes. Things are going
Yeah.
to happen, and
Yeah.
we have to be ready for it or do what we can to be ready for it.
Exactly, exactly. Knowing that everything, not everything is in our control, and how can we set ourselves best to handle this?
Hmm. Yeah, so tell me some of the tools that I guess you kind of like dug up for yourself while you were going through this process, because yeah, you got to have these things and make it like tangible, to help somebody actually take those steps forward, because you can help somebody to see things in a certain way, but you also want to really, arm them with something.
Absolutely. So, one of the biggest things that I did was starting to set boundaries around my time. So, a lot of the people that I work with, I help with, um, management of time. And so, how do we manage our time so that we can get back the time and energy we want to spend on the things that we love? So, I use a customized planner to help people to really identify what's important to us, how do we get what we want, and continue to do well in our career and in our lives. So not taking away from anything, but just adding to. So I use this customized planner to help people to plan better, more efficiently, to get things done faster, which is really nice. And I also, one other tool that I love to use is what's called a nourishment menu. And this is a list, basically just something that you identify, that brings you joy or happiness or something easy to do. For some people, it's like, I go for a walk outside, or I pet my dog, or, I drink some fancy coffee, or, and this list is used when you're feeling like times of high stress or when you're feeling like a little overwhelmed. You can go back to this and kind of level yourself out a little bit and really get yourself back to that baseline so you're not experiencing those ups and downs of the day.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting going back to the card thing. Like you have something you can like go back to in your mind that can help you
Yes.
to just kind of come back to neutral. Yeah, there's so much power in that, whether it's like you're having a really rough day at work and you're like, oh well, my significant other is back at home and they're there for me and my kids are there for me. Even
Yeah.
just like one thought like that can help with changing the narrative a bit.
Exactly. And, I think so many people get stuck. Like they're like, oh, it's a bad day at work, and they can't get out of that bad mood. Like it just sticks with them. And that's where, the stress and the burnout comes from. That's where, the dissatisfaction comes from. And so getting yourself out of that place is the most important thing to do when you're in that mood.
Yeah. I think a lot of it is celebrating your personal journey and your personal abilities and stuff. Like just today I woke up and it's like, okay, I'm gonna listen to this, this talk that I like listening to. And I'm also going to do some cleaning. And after I did that, I just was like, what in the world? I just did that. What in the world? It's just like, but like with my ADHD brain, whatever, sometimes I just completely will forget I did things. And that can be really crazy. So you get both sides of it though.
Yes. Yeah. And celebrating like those little things like, hey, I did this. And that was a great way to start my day. And just recognizing the difference that it made for you can sometimes really make a huge impact.
Yeah, it's interesting because last night I double checked twice and I had locked my car, after hanging out with my family. And I even looked over like this like little perch thing to make sure the car was locked. And I saw the lights go off. I'm like, okay, cool. And I got up this morning, Jennifer, and I went to go on my walk. The door is wide open. My
Oh,
car door is wide open.
oh my gosh.
So I'm like, what in the world? Did I like leave the car door open? But like the doors were locked. So I shut the door and the car was locked. And so it made me think on my walk, I'm like, how many times do we literally lock the car and we leave the door wide open
Yeah.
for anybody to
Yeah.
unlock the door, to break the car from the inside or whatever?
Yeah.
But it's funny because I live in an apartment complex
Mhm.
and my car is kind of in a more secluded part of the complex, but like literally I took a picture of it. Like the door is wide open. I'm like, it's not a very super nice car, but I'm like, wow, that's kind of wild that I have a
Yeah.
car and that, yeah, I
Yeah.
was completely mind blown.
Yeah. But I think that that's like a really great, analogy. We didn't even talk about this, and this is already like my brain is going, but like you have the ability to leave your door open for people to come in and, and we're always about, something that I really strive for is protecting your peace. And, whether or not your door is open to people who are looking to not protect your peace versus protecting your peace. Like, I don't know, that door analogy just makes me think.
That's kind of where I went to. It's like,
Yeah,
well, whether this is my ADHD or not, oh well, we're gonna run
no,
with it and just be glad that.
yeah, it totally works. Like, am I going to leave the door open for somebody to, disrupt this? Or, I think yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, it's just really interesting to me too, because we can set all these like, okay, I'm going to lock up the house, I'm going to, go to bed at this time and whatever. And then like when a TV show comes on, it's like, "Oh, you know what? I'm just gonna watch this episode, even though I said I
Yep.
was going to go
Yep.
to bed at this time." And we have the ability, we have the power to let these things. And I think the first couple times to do some drastic change like that, or even a tiny change, it'll feel uncomfortable. But
Yeah.
then you'll start to see like yourself change and have different thoughts and stuff.
Absolutely. And we know there's research that says like change happens when you are outside your comfort zone. You're doing something that you're not used to doing. It's out of your routine. And I think that that's a really powerful way to look at things.
Yeah. So when it comes to boundaries and somebody that has maybe somebody's like in the middle, right? I feel like a lot of people are in the middle where it's like they're not like super giving of their time and energy. And it's like we don't necessarily want that, but sometimes they're just kind of like a little bit maybe on the fence, and maybe we would like them to have a little bit less time in our circle,
Yeah.
like what do you do for somebody that is trying to figure out where this person fits in our life? And some people are just kind of like all over the place, and they'll just sort of be in your life a long time, like at a tense level, but then they'll drop out and then they'll come back, and I don't know, it's crazy.
Yeah, and I think you figure that out as time goes on. I don't think that there's a real great you know, like quiz you can give somebody to be like, okay, where are you going to fit in? But you do figure it out as you go. And I think you learn, like, you know, sometimes I can say things to one person, but maybe not the other. Maybe they're both great friends to me. And I think that this goes back to like the 5 people you have in your life. You have somebody that you can confide in, and somebody's going to help pick up the pieces when you're sad. And then you have somebody that's just like, get on your horse and keep going. And so you kind of figure out along the way, here's what this person is going to be best for. Like, this is the person I'm going to go to when I'm sad. So you're still like setting boundaries around the energy you're putting in, because you're like, oh, this person is who I go to when I'm sad. They're helping me to pick up the pieces. Maybe I'm not going to go to this person when I'm feeling like super high energy and I need to get 16 things done off my to-do list. Like, maybe that's not the appropriate person to go to. So I think you kind of figure out how they fit into your lives, and you really build relationships off of that.
I think a lot of it is experimentation, and experimentation just is going to be sometimes like, oops,
Yeah.
that happened.
Yeah. Like, oh, maybe I won't ask that person that question anymore.
Yeah. But I think just like with anything, when we take those mistakes and we learn from them, then we're going to be in a better spot, even if it takes time. And I think what a lot of the negative self-talk is going to tell you is just that, that you're kind of stuck here. You're always going to go back to these habits, or always going to go back to those things. And it goes back to the narrative thing. It's like, nah, man, this is what I was. This is tis I, but tis not I. There's like that quote. It's like,
Right.
tis I, twas I, but tis not I, or whatever it is. It's like,
Right. Yeah. And it again, it goes back to your mindset. Like, are you going to view any challenges or obstacles as a setback? Or are you going to view them as a time to learn and grow from it? And that's what sets you apart. Like, that's your ability to move forward, is looking at those opportunities to grow.
yeah, that's beautiful. So tell me a little bit more about the kindfulness. Like, is there like a model, or how does that work as far as putting that into somebody's life, putting that at work, and what kind of is the goal of it?
Yeah. So usually people reach out to me who are just struggling and feeling very overwhelmed, struggle with anxiety. And I offer two different kind of models. I offer a 12-week life coaching program, which kind of brings you through, the setting boundaries and the, time and energy and productivity. And we really kind of dive into what's been holding us back and how do we move forward. So I do offer that. And then I offer a month-to-month accountability coaching. So it's just people who just need a little extra like person to help hold them accountable, help them set like tangible goals, and really just work to identify the tasks that are going to move them towards their goals. So I'm coach, a cheerleader, just help you to be accountable to get to your goals. It's for super motivated people that are like ready to hit the ground running. And then I also do the mental health consultation. So I work with community programs, and I'll do either Zoom or in-person trainings on boundary setting and team building. I've done suicide prevention. I've done mental health first aid. So providing more education in the community about just living healthier and happier lives.
That's beautiful. Yeah. So I know part of your story goes into, being a mom and stuff and working towards that. How do you balance that with all of your work and all that other stuff?
It's hard. It is so hard. For me, it's about having a routine that I stick with as much as I can. And on days that I can't, I give myself the grace to be like, today is just not the day. And I used to operate from a very perfectionist mode. I had to do whatever was on my to-do list. And now it's like, you know what, if something doesn't get done, that's okay. Because if I'm taking away from something with my family, then I'm going to be mad at myself. And so I have to just kind of go with the flow and using pockets of time to get as much done as I can before our little guy comes home. So I'm just going with the flow some days.
Yeah, I think that's really all you can do. Because if you're
Yeah.
trying to like force, like, this is what I'm going to get done on this day and nothing is going to change that, it's like, well, sometimes other things will happen, other complications will come up. And if you try to like force something to happen, it may prevent all these other things from happening. And that will lead to all kinds of problems.
Exactly. And it just takes away from what's important to me. And, work sometimes can wait, and I'm okay with that. And, it took me a while to get there, and there was a lot of work I had to do on myself to get there, but I've gotten there and I feel really good about it.
That's beautiful. Yeah. So what are some of the things you do like on a weekly basis to give like Jennifer like a high five, kind of like you're doing a good job kind of thing?
Yeah. Some days are hard. Like I said, some days are harder than others, but I have to take care of me. For me, working out, taking my walks with the dog, getting outside are the most important to me. So making sure that I'm taking care of me so that I can, pour into everybody else. That's my biggest thing. And, oftentimes it's a Sunday and I'm not working. I put some boundaries around my time there, and it's family time, and spending quality time with the family is very important to me. And so protecting that time, that peace is kind of how I reward myself.
That's good. Yeah, protecting the peace. I think that is a good way to really
Yeah.
talk more about this. Yeah. For me, like Sunday is my like don't talk, like I'm with family, I'm
Yep.
chilling with God, I'm going to church. That's my vibe on Sunday. I'm
Yep.
not taking any worries with me to Sunday. Like that's where I sort it all out kind of thing.
Yeah, and it brings you into just a better Monday. Like you're not like carrying over any drama or any stress from Sunday. It's like, this is my day to relax and unwind so that I can go into the work week feeling good about it.
It's nice too because it's just something kind of to look forward to, just down the road,
Yes.
sort of like, I mean, I played a lot of Pokemon growing up and all these other RPG games. There's always like, if you can go a little farther, there's like a hotel or there's like, there'll be somebody that can like
Yep.
heal you and help you. And it's obviously a little different with life, but you
Sure.
can get a restoration of some kind.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So why do you think is one of the biggest struggles facing like youth today with all the social media and all this other stuff. And
Yeah, I see so many people, playing that comparison game, what do they have that I don't have? They're, prettier than me, or they have this and it's just this comparison game of somebody else's life looks so perfect and mine is not. And that struggle with just that, the self-image. And I think that that is really impacting the, kids. And I think that we're not talking about mental health enough. We're not talking about resources that are out there. We're not talking about feelings and thoughts. And it just, it's gotten better, but it's not where it needs to be. And so to have, safe spaces to be for kids and, college kids. I just did a presentation with college kids the other day, and, sometimes it's the first time they're learning this information, and it's, something is missing from our educational system where this is not always talked about.
it's tough too, because some people don't grow up with a safe space to like go and talk to, like where they can go and tell anything. Like some people do not have that, and they'll grow up and have some success, and then people have changed their tune and they're like, now you need to pay me back, or I don't know.
Sure.
There's a lot of craziness there. So I think
Yeah.
being able to work on this in some way, or just to have somebody talk about it, is so powerful.
Yeah, yeah, and just spreading the word, like it's okay to talk about, it's okay to have feelings, it's okay to be sad, and letting kids know that this is what you do when you're, this is who you can talk to when you're sad, or, this is okay. And, I just did a presentation with, like I said, with some college students, and one of them went home, and they were having dinner, and they were talking about therapy, and the parents said, oh, you should get a therapist. We've been in therapy for, 30 years. And the student looked at his parents, and he had no idea. This was never discussed. This was never talked about. And so making this more of a conversation that you have with your kids, that, hey, this is okay. Like if you need a support person, it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, last July, I felt completely spent of all the resources I could do, all the things I could do. And so I did end up getting a therapist for a couple months, and was able just to share a bunch of things with her. And that was really good for me. And she was just a good fit. And so it worked out.
Absolutely. Just a sounding board to be able to express, like, because some of the things that we think about or feel are personal, and you don't want family or friends to always know about them. So having a safe space just to go, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. How do we become more of a safe space for ourselves?
Oh, that's a good question. We have to, my motto with kindfulness coaching is we have to be kind to ourselves. We have to make ourselves a priority. We have to put ourselves first. And if we don't do that, like that cliche, like you can't pour from an empty cup, like you can't. Like it is true. You can't do it. So pouring into yourself is only going to make your relationships with other people stronger. And, you want to be able to control the narrative you put out to other people, and being kind to yourself is the one of the most important pieces of that.
That's cool. Yeah, I love that. When it comes to like writing stories and anything, is there like books that you read, or how do you get what you can like that you put out? Because what you
Yeah.
consume is like what you put out. So
Yeah. So it's funny. Part of my role, I continue to work as a therapist. So I see people on a coaching spectrum and on a therapy spectrum. So I'm dealing with a lot of people per day, which is sometimes a little overwhelming for me. So a lot of my books are fiction. I like historical fiction, because my brain just needs a shut off sometimes. But there are a couple of books that I absolutely love. One of them is, I don't know if I can swear on this podcast, but You Are a Bee. You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero is one of my favorite books. And that is it's one of the first books I read that really helped me to understand my worth and set boundaries in my life.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's powerful how a book can just completely shift sometimes your perspective, because you're literally having this person who has all this experience interrupt your conversation, and
Yes.
it completely
Yes.
just stops it. And it's such a beautiful thing to just kind of sit with them and hear them, their story and their perspectives, and then to go back. Yeah, I think we sleep on books all the time. They really are
Yeah.
so helpful.
Yeah, they really are. They really are.
Yeah. Well, I love that you are doing so much to help people with rewriting their stories with kindfulness and to just make a difference in the world. It's beautiful, and I'm just thankful for you and the risks that you took and how it's kind of paid off. I take a lot of value from your story, Jen.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah. How do people get in touch with you and learn more from what you do?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at Kindfulness Coaching, or my website is www.kindfulnesscoaching.com.
Awesome. We'll have that linked in the show notes. And thank you just so much for coming on, Jen.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, I feel like that went pretty well. The conversation is the podcast is family friendly, so I'll just bleep it out or
Yeah,
whatever.
sorry. I was like, oh, shoot.
It's fine. It's all good. We'll figure it out. Yeah,
Sorry.
you're good. You're good. I should have mentioned that before.
No, I think I read so many like little blurbs too, and it's like no swearing, and then I'm like, oh shoot, I'm not, and I had already started the conversation.
Yeah, that's okay. I don't think I have any blurb like that for mine, but yeah, that's
We can,
cool.
yeah, we can just edit it to a book by Jen Sincero.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, one of the ones that she's
Yeah.
written. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, sounds good.
All right.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
thank you. Yeah, it was fun.
yeah, it was good. Gave me some good perspective, and yeah, it's always interesting to me like what stands out from the conversations, because I
Yeah,
have this ADHD, and so I can completely grab onto different things that people
sure.
say. And so I've learned to appreciate that instead of get hung up over it, because I have definitely let myself get hung up over it before. And
Yep.
you just kind of let this thing replay over and over again. I'm like, that
Yeah.
needs to stop. I don't know how to make
Yeah.
it stop.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I'll get this out in the next couple months and I'll let you know. But yeah, just thanks for coming on and for your energy and for your excitement and everything. I can tell you've done a couple of these or more than a couple of these. So
Couple, yeah.
yeah,
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun.
I'm glad to hear. Yeah. Is there anything that you felt like I could have done better or things I could do
No,
for next
great
time?
questions. No, great questions. I loved that you referenced like on Instagram. I think you're the only person that I've ever done a podcast with that is like, oh yeah, I saw this on Instagram. So you did your research like you did, and that's like I appreciate that. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good way to get an idea of where somebody's head is at right now. And
Absolutely.
that's important.
Yeah. Agreed. Agreed.
Because
Yeah.
I'm not going to be able to help out past you. That's not possible. But I can help out present you, or at least listen to present you. So
Sure. Sure.
yeah, cool. Well,
Yeah.
that's good feedback. Yeah, I like the stories you shared, and just I can tell just the passion you have for this, and that's not something you can really make up.
Yeah. Thank
So
you. I appreciate that.
yeah, well, keep up the good work, and I'll let you get back to your day.
All
But
right. Sounds good. Have a good
thank you,
one.
Jennifer. You too.
Bye.